7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
The Savachi syndrome, I'm telling you, I'm like, well, holy shit, that was crazy. Wait for it. Thick and slick. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show, episode 174. We are creeping towards that 200 mark. We are here to talk Southwick and everything else moto this week. I want to start off by thanking the show sponsors. First up, newest sponsor to the show, BC.Pizza. Gourmet pizza, all sorts of stuff. They have tons of different stuff on the menu besides pizza. If you are in the Plainwell, Michigan, Allegan, Michigan, Otsego, Michigan area, or even Kalamazoo, Michigan, there is a BC Pizza near you. They do have other locations. However, I'm not 100% sure where they are. And seeing as how Justin isn't in studio with me today to tell me, I'm out on that. I can't remember. But anyway, make sure to check them out. BC.Pizza, link in the description below. Also want to thank our other presenting sponsors. First up, Premier Custom Trailers. Do you need a trailer, commercial or residential? Premier Custom Trailers has what you need. They work with the best manufacturers in the industry and specialize in all your trailer needs. Sales, service, parts, or rentals, they do it all. PremierCustomTrailers.com, located 5 minutes south of Kalamazoo on US 131 in Schoolcraft, Michigan. They put the custom in customer service, and they will be hooking us up with a killer deal on a trailer here coming up. I just got the word come second week of August here. We should have it. So make sure to keep an eye out on the YouTube channel for that. Also want to thank our last presenting sponsor, TLR Coatings. They've been with us since the beginning. Custom powder coating, Cerakoting, sandblasting, vapor blasting. They do it all. They are Michigan's premier custom powder coating shop. Make sure to check them out, TLRcoatings.com. Make sure to follow them on social media. They post all the time of cool new projects they are doing. Also on board with us, we have JT Cycle and the Dirt Bike Depot. They are helping us out with some prizes for our fantasy podcast show. Make sure to check that out. It is in the same feed here and also on the YouTube channel. We do that usually the Thursday or Friday right before the race. Myself, Cole, and sometimes Justin get on the phone and we talk fantasy picks from the week before, results and picks for the coming up race, and we give away prizes including season-ending championship prizes for our league and everything, so make sure to go check those out. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Have a lot of good interactions with you guys. Some of you guys I see on and off there. So make sure to do that. That really, really helps us out. And remember to share this stuff up, whether you're listening on the podcast or you are watching on YouTube, because sharing is caring and growing is showing. If you are listening on the podcast or you want to listen on the podcast because you found us on YouTube and you don't want to watch the full show on YouTube, you can find us on all the major podcast networks. We are on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, so go check that out. Also, follow us on all the major social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have all sorts of cool stuff happening there. We have videos, we have pictures, we are reposting cool stuff we see all the time. Cole is Twitter tweeting up a storm, so make sure to check all of that out. Now, on the line with me tonight, because the other co-hosts all bailed out last second, he is, we'll call him a semi-regular co-host, former factory team person, former pit bike champion. He is the one, the only, the gypsy, Tom Cooper. Tom, what's going on, buddy?
You know, I'm not just on the show because those guys bailed. I was gonna be supporting you guys one way or the third. Doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I had a full studio as of this morning with my normal two guys, and then as of 4 o'clock, I had no one in the studio with me. So, in fact, I had no one in the studio and no one calling in. I was like, well, this is going to be a great solo show. But Tom steps up as always. helps us out. Tom's on pretty regularly. Not all the time. He's a busy dude, but pretty regularly. And then we also have go ahead.
Go ahead. All right.
All right, and we have one more special guest coming on the show in a little bit here. We have the one, the only Darkside coming on. You may have heard him on Pulpamex Show. He calls in every week. You may have heard him on the Pulpamex Wrap-Up Show. He hosts that. Or you may even have heard him on his own podcast, the Motox Pod Show. He is on there co-hosting that. So he is coming up in just a little bit. We're going to get his take on the outdoor season. We're going to see what he if his boss at Pulpamex knows about us, wants to kill us, what's up with that. And we're going to roll through that. So anyway, let's get to it. Tom, you're the guest, and I am a nice man, so I let my guest pick. Where would you like to start with this Southwick National?
Well, first let's start with the rain, and then we'll get to what our predictions were last week. So the rain we had through the week, when we were talking last week on the show, live from Redbud, we were talking about how Justin was thinking that if you have a drier track that is more a wetter track that is more clot car racing, I guess you would call it, where there's lines going through the whole track. And we had rain all week at Southwick, and it ended up being even up to practice this morning. It was a Super Bowl, but it looked incredible for the races. The really strange thing that the base of Southwick is hard as it is, because I mean, let's just be honest here. For this United States, that's about as sandy as we see very much. Like there's a few spots on the East Coast, but that Southwick is the one, so to say. So when we got all that rain, and even this morning, right before practice, had a water line or sprinkler or whatever break and flood the track even more. It turned out to be damn near dusty by the end of the race day.
Did you happen to watch? I know you probably didn't because you're busy. Weege's pre-show on YouTube that he does, where he was walking around.
I didn't see the whole show, but I saw the clip with Roxon and those guys, and I was like, all right.
So there was a clip in there. Weege was out on the track walking, and he was walking up one of the hills at like 2:30 Friday afternoon. And he was walking through an area that had rained it out, and the trench he was in, where the rain had carried it away, was like 6 feet deep. Like he was standing in it. It was above his head, and he was like, "Yep, we'll see how this goes." And then he got in the golf cart with somebody, and the dude's like, "Nah, we'll have this straightened up here in a couple of hours. Everything will be good." So, and sure as shit, it was, because man, I'm here to tell you, looking at that 6 foot deep rain wash coming up this hill, I'm just like, holy fucking shit. We're about to have an off-road race. Yeah, Caleb Russell about to make this shit happen here today. So, but they got it together. Track looked good. It looked good all day.
Looked fun.
Did you feel like it looked as rough as it has in the past, or did you feel like it stayed?
Not even close.
Okay, that's what I thought too. It didn't. To me, it was the same thing. It didn't look anywhere near as rough. I have zero idea why. It was just like, well, that's weird.
I really wonder about this stuff. If maybe it's because of grooming or what. But like when Dungy and those guys were racing, but like back in the Carmichael days and stuff, that track, you were jumping from roller to roller around the whole track. Like it was rough today, and don't get me wrong, at Southwick this year it was rough, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't that kind of rough. And I was expecting it to be just with the rain, because the last time I was there with 2011 with the Ryan Dungy barely made the gate incident, it was also a hurricane then, and it was wet as hell, and it was way rougher than this. Like, I wasn't there. I'm just watching on TV, but you can tell, right? So for me, it was interesting because of that, and also because of the dirt. There's a lot of guys the bikes are real twitchy, and then, like, the front end likes to knife a lot. And
RJ Hampshire.
RJ Hampshire. We saw that a lot today. And for what it's worth, since you just said that about the 2.4, I'm pretty sure almost all, if not all, of his crashes this year have been from his power in the front end. It's a real easy thing to do, but it's a common thing when you're doing testing to do, let's just say, adjust the sag a little bit to bring the back end of the bike up a little bit to remedy that. So when you see a guy go out and knife grind a lot, you kind of look at it and you go, what are we doing here?
I don't know what they're doing there with that, but we'll just start with that. I mean, the dude last week at Redbud crashes, 3 times in a fucking moto, still almost wins. Then he comes out this week, dude, and I mean, it's almost like a joke now. Like, he literally went down twice in the first moto. Is that what it was? Hold on, let me look at my notes here. Did he go down twice, or did he go down 3 times in the first moto, and then
A few more in the second moto.
Yeah, and then 2 or 3 more in the second moto? Like, dude, it's just ridiculous. And it's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? And how do we remedy this is the big question. Like, how do we make it where you don't go down? Because it's just stupid stuff. Even he said in his podium interview, he's like, dude, it's dumb stuff. And like, as soon as it happens, I'm just like, shit, here we go again. And okay, well, how do we fix that? Because in my mind, and from what I'm seeing, it looks like pretty much the same thing over and over again. You're like just pushing hard enough, and you push that front end. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like something that could be fixed.
It's difficult to pinpoint that because you're talking about a guy that's pushing on the edge, and he's if not the fastest, he's one of the fastest guys out there. So for somebody to be dancing on the edge, it's difficult to say, oh, fuck, you messed this one little setting up or whatever, because, I mean, let's just face it, he's pushing, right? He's out there going a little bit faster than the rest of the good, best guys on the planet, right? So
Yeah.
it's really difficult to pinpoint that stuff kind of down. But I tell you what, that guy is flying right now. And the good thing that most of his crashes have been pushing in the corner, so he's still healthy because he is going.
Oh yeah, because if he was doing this on straightaways or something, holy shit. Because yeah, he's definitely flying, dude. He has to be the fastest dude in the 250 class at this point.
Well, yes and no. Yes, he is, but no, he's not getting them wins.
Well, that's a thing, but man, you can clearly look at this goes back to, like, I guess with like our Tomac days, you know, of like fastest dude in the class, but can't put it together to either A, get the win, or B, get the championship. So, but again, I feel like some of it is self-imposed, and it's like, bro, just back it down 2 notches and you'd win every fucking moto from here on out. Like, literally 2 notches back, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in it. You're beating everyone. You're winning titles. Your 450 ride's going to be solidified. I mean, you're going to be good to go.
You were saying he's working with Mike Brown now? Do I remember that correctly?
No, he's on the Alden program.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the lone 250 guy on that program. But from my understanding, that program is on the fritz at this point.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
So I'm hearing lots of different things throughout the industry about that program not being there in the next year or 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know officially. I don't know what's going on right now. From my understanding, there isn't really anybody but the like the Mike Brown crew and stuff riding down there. Like not the actual Alden program. The actual Alden program, from my understanding, none of them are riding at the Baker's factory right now, which is a weird thing.
That's really bizarre.
Yeah, nothing's going on there, though. Everything's normal. Situations, we'll probably honestly get a picture sometime of like Marv spotting Coop on some bench press or something, and they'll be like high-fiving afterwards, like, yeah, everything's great. Everything is not great. Everything is not great. So, all right, let's talk about, let's move on here on the 250s here, because obviously we've done our RJ talk, and all you can say with RJ is just like crashes. How about Joe Schmoda yesterday?
Man, we've been saying this about Joe ever since last year when he had his breakout ride, and I tell you what, he doesn't look like the same rider. He does in a way, but his posture is different. And also, I noticed yesterday, and I don't know what his experience is in the stand, but when he went 2-2 at Southwick, he did it while looking down a lot. And it's amazing that he went as fast as he did and didn't make hardly anything for mistakes, because, man, he was up there the whole time, and he didn't have any issues whatsoever with crashes or any of that stuff. Like, for example, we saw with Jeremy Martin in the first moto getting it together with, I think it was Swole, and what kind of stuff that... No,
it wasn't Martin.
Joe didn't hardly pass anybody even.
Martin went down by himself. Swole and Jet came together, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, no, Schmoda went 3-4 yesterday for second overall, and dude, it was just an impressive, solid ride. But it's like, it's what is it almost what we expect from Schmoda at this point? is like just these solid, quiet rides. I mean, we saw it in Supercross, and in Supercross it built and built and built and built and built. And even though I know, yes, that coast he was on was a little thin, but then eventually it's like, boom, he gets a win, and it's like, oh shit, Shimoda just won a race. And now we're in outdoors, and it's like that. I believe it was Steve last week in a post-race interview asked him like, hey, how are your sand skills? And he's like, I don't really know. I've never really rode sand. And obviously, like, it's okay because he's now gone 3-4. So, okay.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him, though. And it's interesting that he's doing well because, well, let's say it's a tough go for Monster Energy Field Series Kawasaki right now. I mean, even Austin Forkner, after hurting his hand at Redbud, coming up short on the Rockies, which went viral for this show.
Yes, it did.
He went down coming into a right-hand corner and looked like he stabbed his hand in the ground and got up and was hurting, and that's a tough thing to do when you're at Southwick. Southwick punishes you. Even when it's not as rough as it used to be nowadays, it's still rough. And it's having to fight the bike twitching around and trying to knife on you all the time. It takes a shitload of energy to do that and a lot of strength. And those guys that are able to hang, it's an impressive thing.
Can I just say that will not surprise me at all if it comes out this week of like, oh, Borkner's out for the year. I mean,
well, actually, this week is there a week off?
No. We're on to Millville, I believe. We're Millville, then Washougal, and then we're off for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because they got to drive all the way back to New York for Greenville.
Yeah, because we can't seem to get our schedule in shape here, so we can help the privateers.
Anytime you have to go to, there's never a good time in the schedule to go to Washougal.
There is this year. There is this year. It's called right before you go back to Paula and right before you go to Hangtown.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Like if they would have done this correctly, we would have gone Washougal, Paula, Hangtown, end of season. Not fucking
take one cross country trip out of the equation.
Yeah, not fucking Millville, Washougal, back to fucking Dilla, and then Buds and Ironman and whatever else, and then back to fucking Paula and Hangtown. It's fucking stupid, but such is MX Sports. What do you want me to say? I mean,
well,
MX Sports. That's all you have to say, pretty much. So, all right, Justin Cooper, third overall on the day, 6'1", Mr. Second Moto, as I guess we're calling him now. Him and Eli Tomac are the same here, Mr. Second Motos. Apparently, they only get their. Oh boy.
6'2".
Oh, sorry, 6'2". Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. My bad.
Very important.
6'2".
Because my prediction from last week, as you may have, the folks at home may remember, as I predicted the 4-1, I said, stamp it, 4-1, I'll take him, yes. And then I said, and for the 450, which we're going to get to later, I said, I think that although Ferrandix is the guy, that we were going to see Eli Tomac come out and have a stomping. And you know what? Eli Tomac was pretty challenged in the first moto, but he comes back in the second moto and gets the win. So I'm just saying, I got some predictions that aren't looking so bad. And now that sports betting is legal, maybe I should have put a little money on the line.
Well, what can we say? Some of us have the eye, and apparently it's you. So, so Cooper, rough first moto. He was down early. He came across the line like 27th. I think like 3 laps in, he was only in like 19th. Him and Jet both really like different positions on the track because Jet was inside the top 10. But realistically, same that first moto. Neither one of them were really making moves till you got towards the end and people started getting tired.
Peeling off the track.
Yeah, so it was, I feel like as much as I don't want to see Justin Cooper win this title, I want to see Jet win it. That was a championship-saving day for him yesterday to get back to 6th in that first moto and then to end up 2nd in that second moto. Like, that kept the championship close-ish. So good on him for having that kind of great ride. And he said, like I told you before we got on here, he said post-race that he basically blew his load in the first moto trying to catch back up because he knew he had to. And by the second moto, After like 10 minutes, he was like, yep, I got nothing for this moto. So good on him to salvage a second in that second moto.
Hang on for dear life.
Yeah, basically. But nothing was stopped. I mean, we might as well talk about this because we haven't here. Hunter Lawrence yesterday. I mean, that's the Hunter Lawrence that Justin's dick gets hard for all the time. Like, Justin is...
Well, on a real note, this is the Hunter Lawrence that the rest of the field needs to be shitting their pants about right now, because just like Justin and I talked about often at the Designations, when Hunter Lawrence won the Red Bud Designations moto, or two, I forget, I think it was just one. When he did that, and he was the guy then, and he had some injuries, and then he's kind of finding his way back. Well, now going 1-1, after having a couple of solid rides, now he's on top of the box. He's now emerging himself with that confidence. If you have a dominating performance, a lot of times that's kind of what you need to shake the monkey off your back. Here he is.
Yeah, but here's what I'm nervous about, though. We saw this in Supercross, too. He came out, he won that race, and we all said, oh, here we go. He's here now. Like, he's broken through. Like, he's in it. And then nothing ever really continued on in Supercross like we thought it was going to. So I'm going to hold back expectations at this point. I'm going to hope that, yes, this triggers something and he rattles off some more moto wins here over the next couple. That would be awesome, because then all of a sudden this turns into more of a three horse battle as opposed to just two, which is always better for us fans. But I'm holding myself in reserve at this point. I'm holding on and just kind of waiting to see what happens. Like, the next two I think are going to be really telling. We've got Millville, which is another soft, really good track, and then we go to Washougal, which is more of a hard pack, up in the hills there in Washington track. So I want to see how these next two go. If they go really well for him, if he say at least wins like one moto and is on the box for a couple other ones, okay, cool, he's in it. If he's not, then I'm gonna be like, well, maybe this is just like Supercross, and it's like he has the skills to do this, but it's just the grade above is not letting him have it yet.
Interesting.
I mean, that's that. Like I said, Supercross, we all thought, boom, he's in it, and then he wasn't. So, speaking of the Lawrence brothers here, we'll move on to Jet. Gnarly
for the 18 machine right now.
Man, it did not look good yesterday. That was not a good day for him. I mean, you're talking.
I looked at both those. I watched both those guys once because they're both on TV a lot, and I thought that both of their bikes looked so.
Yeah, there was nothing about him yesterday in practice, qualifying, anything that I thought looked great. There was nothing in any of the races I thought looked great. He had that fucking crash with Jalik, which was, for, if anybody's out there, I haven't seen anything yet, but if anybody's out there fucking pissed off about that crash, that was a racing incident, okay? I mean, it was wild. Oh, boy, did I shit my pants.
Hanging out for dear life. He wasn't trying to come across on him, although he did come across on him. He wasn't doing it because he wanted to block him. He did it because he was trying to scan the track.
I was going to say, dude, you could just watch that and watch him lose traction trying to scrub that face, and that was just all she wrote. And the fact that he saved it, I don't know how he saved it, to be really honest with you.
Yeah.
He somehow pulled that back, though, and then Jet, you could just see, just front wheel on rear tire, and boom, off, and oh, shit. So, and then,
City.
Yep, and then of course had another tip over, had to ditch the goggles. I mean, it was just a bad situation at that point. Went from being a possibly okay moto, because he was up to, I think, like 4th, 5th, something like that, I think is what he was battling Jalik for. What did Jalik finish? Hold on, let me see here.
Right around there.
Jalik finished 5th, so it had to be right up there, 4th, 5th place he was battling for, and then just to have that happen just sucked. So anyway, yeah, rough day for him. And I mean, the championship's tight. I don't know. Let me see what he's got here. Hold on. Let me see. He's got 204 points. He's in first. Let me see.
And he's just early.
Cooper's got 2. Yeah, so Jet still got him by 3 points, man. But it's close. And where is Hunter at? Let me see where Hunter. Sorry. Did not do research. Oh, Hunter's at 178. He's in 3rd place, but he's at 178, so he's 2025. So that, I mean, realistically, if you get Cooper,
Long season, dog.
I was gonna say so that's the crazy thing too. Have you thought about this? What was it last year or maybe even 2020? Redbud was round 7. This year it was round 4. So like we're rolling into Redbud thinking like, holy shit, we're like halfway through the season. In all reality, we're barely through the first third of the season. Like we've still got 8. Last week. Yeah, we've got 8 rounds to go. So
I hope I don't know how it lines up with last year, but I hope that puts our season ending about 2 weeks later, because it's too long between the end of the season and the MX designations, and it's a disservice to our guys. So if it goes 2 weeks later or so and gives them about 2 weeks before the race, 2 or 3, I want to have our guys have a better advantage, or at least a better chance at the MX designations, because for some of us it's a real big deal. I'd like to see it be a big deal for guys like Eli Tomac so we can get the win again this year.
Well, Eli Tomac won't be going, so
I wouldn't rule him out.
He's switching teams. He's not going.
It'll be interesting to see. And on the same note, it might be Aaron Plessinger that goes again, and he might be also switching teams.
I heard that Yamaha is going to use their first right of refusal on him.
Yeah, we've been hearing a little bit about that, but we'll see what happens. Regardless, whichever way he goes with it, it'll be interesting to see him go back potentially for his second go at designation.
Yeah. I mean, Tomac's for sure not going. Even if he so he's switching teams. Even if he wanted to go with switching teams, Cowie isn't sending their dudes from the U.S. So him and AC are just out at this point. So neither one of those guys are going. AP could possibly go if he's not switching teams, but if he's switching teams, there's no way they send him either, because they're going to want him getting ready for Supercross on that KTM. So
if that's the case, it'll be interesting, because I just heard on the broadcast Grant Langston was saying that Justin Barcia had an injury and he's riding through it. He's going to have postseason surgery that'll take him 3 or 4 weeks to heal up. So it'll be interesting to see with Barcia out, potentially the Cowie boys out, potentially AP out, maybe we'll see, who the 450 rider is, or if we have 2 250 riders and 1 450 rider, because that leaves, I mean, Osborne's out, but there's a lot of guys that would be out of the picture. I can see Christian Craig going, but I don't, and Cooper Webb would be down to go, but I don't know, man. It's not our best A squad necessarily, maybe.
No, it's not. But we don't have an A squad to send. So let's just run this down.
Me off too. Land of the free, best in the world, and we got our P8 and P9 guys going.
Well, let's just run this down here. So you got Tomac is switching teams, so he's out. You've got AP.
I'm still not ruling him out, but okay.
You've got AP possibly switching teams. So if he's switching teams, also he's out. AC is going to have he's got his nerve is still fucked up in his arm. So he's having surgery right after the season also to get that fixed. Now you're telling me Barcia's hurt. He's having surgery right after the season to get whatever's fucked up in him fixed. Okay. So we're getting, like you said, we're getting thin here. Craig, could see him going here. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Sexton, maybe. He hasn't been good this year, man. He hasn't been good.
Again, these are like our 7th, 8th place guys that are where we're at now.
Yeah.
Cooper Webb, Sexton, Craig.
Yeah, it's like, oh God. And I mean,
the good thing is that our 250s are so thick that we only really need 1 450 guy. Because I mean, MX3, we could put whoever the fuck we want out there. If Jeremy Martin's healthy, whoever we want, doesn't matter.
Well, who are you sending for fucking 250s, man?
Well, that's a good question, because there's a handful of guys that are all up in the mix, right? So it'll be interesting to see.
Justin Cooper, RJ Hampshire, Mosman,
McAdoo.
McAdoo's not racing. He's hurt.
Not yet.
What?
Well, he's not racing yet. That's 3 months from now.
Yeah, I'm not sending McAdoo for that. J-Mart, I mean, dude, I don't know, man. It's thin. It's thin this year. Either way, it's thin. No matter what we do, we're running.
Compared to usual, compared to any other team, we're still the benchmark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fuck, I don't know, man. I'm so past Nations. It's not a thing anymore, man. It's all about Supercross, bro.
No, that's lame.
No, it's not, man. Dude, like the Nationals are gnarly and they're cool, and I have nothing but respect for the guys doing them. But man, at the same time, it's like going to them as a fan. It's just like, man, it sucks. You don't have cell service. It's fucking scorching hot. You just get zapped. Fucking
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's a gazillion fucking drunk ass people there that don't know shit about moto. They just want to hang out. Fucking, it's
There's
like
a lot of people that are there that are hardcore moto fans too.
Well, yeah.
I don't give a crap about how hot it is outside or any of that shit. I'm here for a good racing, and we got the best in the world. Except, there's a handful of guys that are around the world that are good too. But as far as for our country, we got some fucking heavy hitters here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know what I'm in it for? I'm in it for the climate-controlled stadium with the man-made track where I have cell service, and it's fucking awesome.
And when you're not riding, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, dude. I don't need to ride. I'm old. Although I did finally get my carbon fiber pieces on my bike today. Finally got the last one fitted. By the way, I will not be buying Lightspeed technology shit anymore because the fit on it is garbage. Absolute garbage. I don't know if
I've used Lightspeed for many, many years, and I don't really give a crap if I got to modify it a little bit. Otherwise, I've had no issues whatsoever.
Yeah, well, that's what pisses me off. It's like, why do I have to modify this piece? I don't understand.
Yeah, interesting.
Like, dude, I paid $100 for a fucking airbox cover for the Blue Crew that I then had to proceed to cut the front and notch it so it would fit down and tighten down. And then I had to drill holes in the motherfucker because there were no holes in it to let air into the fucking air filter. Then the skid plate I bought, I thought that was just going to bolt right up. I was super pumped. But for some reason, it was just contorted enough that I had to shave the one hole on the right side of the bike to be able to get the screw to get started in there. So I was, like I said, I was very disappointed with like the fit and finish on that stuff. The way, because like I really thought like, okay, like Lightspeed, they're a pretty reputable company, and I thought for sure like I would just get some shit from them and it would just bolt right up, and that was not the fucking case on either piece. So and like I said, the airbox cover really threw me for a loop, because it's like, okay, why does your mold not have the front of this notched to go around the front upper airbox mount? Like, I don't understand why I have to notch my fucking $100 carbon fiber piece. And then when I realized that there weren't even fucking holes in it to let air in the air filter, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I don't understand.
I'm looking forward to throwing a lot of roost into that air filter myself.
Well, we're working on the 450 here. I'm about to get the last pieces coated this week for that thing. And then I told Justin, I was like, screw it. At this point, we're just going to throw the suspension back in it and get it all bolted up so I can at least ride it some this year. Because otherwise, if I don't send the suspension out till this week, say they're even backed up 3 or 4 weeks, that's going to be like August before I even get the suspension back, which means we won't have the fucking bike done. I'm like, I'll just wait. The suspension worked well enough for us, so just wait and see what happens. So
I want to see a video of Justin working on that thing.
Oh, you will. We've filmed 2 episodes so far of him working on it, man. They're coming. I'm trying to comb through all the Redbud footage right now and get that stuff edited. But when you take, 300-400 video clips that you got to comb through, it's a lot. So, and when that's
What's coming in the pipeline from Redbud?
Huh?
What's coming down the pipeline from Redbud?
Well, we have the vlog is the first thing that's coming up. The race day vlog is coming. I don't know if I'm going to do a slow-mo edit with some of the other footage I got, because I have different footage from different points of view. We have the KTM 150 build that we did with Moran's for that week. That's coming down the pipeline. But I won't release ours until he releases his. So, and he busted.
You don't want to get in front of the horse, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he busted ass this week and actually put out his Redbud vlog. Went live yesterday, day before, and it's pretty good. So everybody make sure to go check that out. Just search Kevin Moran's on YouTube, and his newest video is the Redbud vlog from when he was there with us. Your boy right here in his straw race hat is all over that thing, and it's awesome. I mean, it's a good looking dude in that straw race hat. You should definitely go check it out. I know it's primarily a 99% male ratio that listens to and watches this show.
Probably what you prefer anyways.
It's fine, but you all should go check it out. Because your boy's in there giving some serious insight during the race. Oh, yeah. And he had a lot of cool shots that he got with going back into the pits, talking to Faulkner and Freddie and all sorts of people. So,
Cool.
yeah, so that worked out well. Yep. It's a good watch. About 23 minutes, little long, but it's not bad. So, all right, Tom. Well, I think it's about time to get our other guest on. So let's take a quick break here, and we will come back hopefully with the one and only Darkside on the show here and talk to him about some more Southwick. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. We now have the one, the only. You might know him from the Pulpamex show. You might know him from the Pulpamex wrap-up show. You might know him from the Motox Pod Show. It is the one, the only, Darkside. What's up, Darkside? How you doing tonight, man?
What's up, boys? Man, I was really, really excited to do this. You invited me on, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And then I was talking to Toolman Dan from Main Event today, and you asked him too. And I was like, well, damn. They'll ask anybody.
Well, in all fairness, okay, we've had Coach Rob. He's a pretty good friend of the show, and he'd mentioned a long time ago about like Toolman Dan, and like I must have hit him up like the day before I hit you up, and was like, hey man, do you think Dan still wants to be on? And he's like, yeah, sure. Here's his number. Like throws it to me. I was like, okay, cool. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get everybody lined up. So. I was trying to make the rest of my year super easy and have guests lined up for the show every single week. And then, of course, stuff happens and it never works out quite that way. But, I mean, we're here, so whatever. And we're just trying to get perspectives, man. We want everyone to come on and talk about everything.
Isn't it nice, though, when you have, like your show's lined up for a couple weeks in advance?
Oh, it's fucking great. I mean, the best thing ever. I will say, dude, today I was worried because I had both my normal co-hosts were supposed to be in studio with me, and I was supposed to have you on. And then as of like 4 o'clock, I hadn't heard from you, and the other two bailed out. And I was like, well, fuck me. So,
well, yeah, the house I'm buying has a metal roof, and when I'm in that house, I have zero signal. So I'll walk outside, and the phone will just blow up. But I was gonna say, like the last 4 shows I've done, I've had Chase Sexton scheduled. And then right at showtime, nothing. And he like, as soon as it's over, he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. This meeting came up, or I had to go do this TV spot. And he's like, dude, I'm doing your show. I promise. But like, yeah, it was 4 shows in a row. I've had Chase lined up, and he's bailed.
Oh man, he cool guyed ya. Don't get me wrong. We know how that goes all the time too. We were supposed to do an interview with Jeff Walker last week at Redbud. And I hit him up and I was like, hey man, you want to do an interview? And like, I've actually met him before cause he's like from the Michigan area and he came to this ride at this private track we did last fall. And then like, I haven't heard from him on Instagram cause I don't have his number. I've been just DMing him. And then I hit him up. He was like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're going to be at the track Friday from this time to this time. I have these time slots open because I had other people and just like nothing. And I'm just like, son of a bitch. Like, come on, man. Don't tell me yes. Just tell me no if you can't do it. It's totally fine. And I'll just move on to someone else. But when you tell me yes and then you bail, then I start to get a little frustrated.
Yeah, it can be frustrating. I'm real lucky that I have certain guys like Daniel Blair or Max Bolin or Talon Bolin that come on almost any time. So if I do have an issue where I don't have a guest, I've got guys that'll jump on. So I've been lucky with that.
Yep. That's like I have my co-host between Tom, who's on here with us right now, and then my normal guy, Justin, and our other buddy, Cole. Usually between the three of them, I can get one of them on to talk with me so I don't have to talk. I have done some shows by myself. Don't get me wrong, especially in the early years. Like there were some times before I had all the technology to do phone calls like this, I was completely just monologuing like JT does on his show. And I give him a lot of credit because that is not the easiest thing to do. But now it's much better. Now I can at least get people to call most of the time. The industry
Nice.
people, it's still tricky-ish. Like I'm making moves into the industry and getting people to do it, but but you know how that goes too. Like you just said, Sexton's cool guide you for 3 weeks in a row now. So
Well, he promised me he was doing my show the next time I do one, and I said, only thing I ask is if you go out and win Redbud or Millville and Mathis reaches out, you don't do pulp until you do my show.
oh yes,
He's like, I promise. He said, I promise you're first. So we'll see.
that'd be awesome. Oh God, you're poking the bear there with Mathis.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh God. That's awesome. So I have some questions for you then with podcasting before we get back to talking about racing here. First off, how do you start your show? How do you end up, we'll say, so Tom coined this phrase, once you're in the circus of pro motocross and supercross racing. So how do you start your podcast? How do you end up in this circus with everyone? And because like you have some big like obviously you're talking to Sexton and like, I'm sorry, man, I only have so much time to listen to podcasts in a week, so I don't listen to yours very much. But but I see all the posts on Instagram, man, and you have some big dudes on that show like pretty regularly. So how do you pull that kind of stuff off?
Well, so it started, I think I started calling into pulp around 15 or 16. And, as I called in pretty much every week, people started to know who I was a little bit. Some buddies of mine, well, one buddy of mine and two other guys that I didn't know at the time started this show. They started the Motox Pod Show. And it was basically just a local Texas show where they would talk about their local races. And they would talk about what they saw on TV for the pro races, and that's about it. And there was, probably less than 50 people listening. One of my buddies was part of it, and he's like, hey, if you want a guest, I know Jamie, that's me, Darkside, we can get him to come in. So I came over to the studio one night and joined the show and was just, a guest. And like later that night, they texted me or maybe the next day and said, hey, would you like to be a part of it every week? Because it was a lot of fun. Sure, I'll do that, and so we rolled along a couple shows, and I knew like some local guys like Dennis Hawthorne's, a well-known Texas pro, arena cross champion. I knew Billy Whitley, who ran pro teams. I had access to Robbie Rayner through somebody, and I knew Charlie Bogard. So I was like, I can get these guys on, and those were our first guests. Jump ahead to 2017. Some friends of ours that were doing another show had got Supercross credentials. I was like, how the hell did you guys do that? And they told me how they did it, and I was like, oh, okay. But by that time, like that was for Dallas, and we didn't have the funds to travel. So I was like, all right, next year we'll do that. And when Nationals came along, I kind of took the same game plan, and I just got on their website and found out you could ask for credentials. And I asked for credentials for Lakewood, and I got them. So 2017,
Sorry, that blows my wig back because I've done that.
I fly to Lakewood 2017. Press day was on a Thursday. Nobody else media-wise was there, at least that I knew. I didn't know anybody really, right? So I didn't even know what to do. I got my credentials, and I'm just walking around the pits like a normal fan would, standing outside the tent, just standing there like literally staring at Blake Baggett eating lunch for 30 minutes. And his wife eventually said, hey, do you need something? And I was like, well, I'd love to get an interview, but I'm new at this. She said, well, yeah, let him finish eating. And that was my first interview, was Blake Baggett.
Sick.
Got done. I was like, hey, dude, we do this podcast. It's just starting out. Would you be willing to come on? Sure. Gave me his number. Pro Circuit was there that day. So after I talked to Blake, I was like, well, this is easy. I just started hitting all the guys up and asked for phone numbers. And that was really the start of it. So we started getting the guys that were there that day, like Austin Faulkner, Josh Hill was there that day, whoever, a bunch of guys. And I started getting some team managers and doing shows. And it just started to take off. Eventually, the two guys that started it, Mark and Phil, decided that they were just too busy. They didn't have time, and they kind of fell by the wayside, and I took it over. And over the last few years, it's just been grind, man. Go to the races, introduce myself. Really, that's really what it comes down to, is going to the races, talking to everybody. And most people listen to Pulp, so they're like, oh, yeah, you're Darkside from, we hear you call in. And that's sort of how it started. And now it's gotten to where everybody knows who I am. And it's kind of weird.
But weird in the coolest way possible, man. So
it is cool, but it's like, I remember, well, we talked about this off air. My fiance and I split up recently, but 2018, we go to Supercross. She does the first one, the Dallas race with me. It's the first one she went to as I'm quote unquote media. And in the morning on press day, we're getting in the elevator, going down to the lobby, and I'm talking to her, and this guy's like, dude, are you Darkside? I was, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And it was just weird. She was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. They're calling you
Darkside's
Darkside.
getting laid tonight. Mm-hmm.
that
No,
a
she thought
boy.
it was the weirdest. She thought it was the weirdest thing. And we'd get to the stadium, and even over the years, like, people would yell out, Darkside. She's like, I just don't, I can't. She couldn't deal. She was not like she wasn't being a bitch. She was just busting my balls. And even like Kiefer at San Diego in 19 or 20, right before COVID hit, man, we were all at dinner with the Kiefers and some other people. And he asked Amber, he's like, hey, so do you call him Darkside in bed? She's like, no. He said, I don't acknowledge Darkside. That's Jamie.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's been strange. Dude, I had somebody ask me for my autograph at MX of Nations, and Weeds was standing next to me.
Oh,
and
man.
I said, yeah, dude, you want Weeds too? And they're like, no, dude, just you.
Dude, oh, so you were at MX? You were at MXON at Redbud?
Yeah, man. I got
shit.
I got to interview Hurley.
Oh no, fucking way!
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel. If you go back to that time frame, there's
Holy
an
shit.
MXPN. Yeah, I got to go in the truck. I waited an hour and a half, but I got to go in the trucks, and very few people talked to Hurley's that day. But wow, I got in, man.
Dude, I'm impressed.
Wow.
That's fucking big time. Because yeah, we were there too,
It was
man.
rad.
And we had some wild stuff there too. Like the first day we were there for opening ceremonies, me and my normal co-host Justin, and we're standing on like the monster stage in front of the start, just watching everybody, and this kid's standing next to Justin. He's just staring at him, and finally Justin's like, what's up? And the kid's like, are you on YouTube? And Justin's like, yeah. And we're like, he's like, yeah, I watch your show. And he's like, oh, cool, thanks. And then we were walking to the car that night, and some dude comes up, and he is just screaming at us. And I mean, like, he knows who we are, but I can't understand a fucking word he's saying. And then all of a sudden he goes, YouTube. And we're like, oh yeah, hey, what's up, man? So it was like super weird to like be at a race like that, because we've had a couple people at like Redbud National and stuff come up and be like, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so. Like, I comment on your guys' show all the time on YouTube. And we're like, oh yeah, cool, thanks, man. But like to have people at an international race that were like not from the US come up and say stuff, like that was super weird. So... And then when you have when you sign something, dude, it's we got some dude came up. Justin was taking a leak after Redbud last week. Dude is literally standing next to him by the porta potties and is like, "Oh my God, you're Justin!" And Justin's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You do that YouTube show?"
Awesome.
And Justin's like, "Yeah, Travis is right over there. Do you want to meet him?" Because Justin's not like the best people person. And so I'm sitting in my truck just like trying to have a drink or something, waiting for traffic to clear out, and all of a sudden this dude comes up, he's like, oh, I'm so and so, I love your show, and like sign my shirt. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see how I mean
that's usually when people want to get my autograph, is when I'm taking a piss too.
For a different reason.
Yep. So man, dude, I am super intrigued that you got those media passes. I think I actually DM'd you about that before, because like I did the same thing in like, it must have been 17, 18, because we started the show in a similar time frame. I think 17 was our first year, so maybe it must have been like 18 I tried to get media credentials too, because like we took off pretty decent the first year. And I hit them up and I was like, hey, we want to come in and do media or whatever, and they basically told me no. And I was like, okay, well, do you have like a certain range, like what are my view counts need to be to get these media credentials? And they were like, oh, we don't know. Okay, good, cool story. Thank you.
If that was that might have been 19, man, because 18 was really fucking easy.
Oh, man, I don't know.
But they changed everything in 19, and like so when I requested for credentials going into Anaheim 19, I got denied.
Okay.
And I texted Sean Brennan, who I had met luckily in 18, when I got it, and he was like, yeah, he called, he said, look, we changed all the requirements. It's got to be 10,000 downloads per podcast or something like that. Yep. And I was like, dude, there is nobody making these numbers. Like, I called Daniel Blair right after that. So what are your numbers? Mm-hmm. And he said, no, usually about 7. I was like, okay, so if you didn't work for Feld, you couldn't get credentials, basically.
Yeah.
But Sean was like, I met you already. I know how hard you're working. You're good. I got you. And he told me when I got there to Anaheim, he kind of pulled me to the side. It's like, we're trying to make this so that some dude with a voice recorder can't say he's media and just come over here and talk to our athletes. We're trying to make it more professional. We don't want just anybody to get them. And so it got way more difficult in 19.
Do you want to know how I backdoored it, though?
Yeah. What'd you do?
So I went to Oakland Supercross in 2019. And I bought
backdooring.
I backdoored this. I bought they sold a VIP service where you could go to the press conference. And so I bought that. I bought that and track walk because I went there by myself. Like, basically, I was in Vegas already that week, and I was like, oh, fuck, like, I can get a Southwest flight for nothing over to Oakland for the day. So I fly over to Oakland. I was all by myself. I was like, screw it. I'm going to do track walk. I'm going to do this because I'm by myself. I might as well do cool shit. Well, I ended up being the only person to sign up for the VIP press conference thing. So the dude who was doing that was also doing the track walk. And he was like, hey, bro, like, I'll meet you before so that way we can get you in the press conference, nice and early, and you can get a good spot, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. So he ended up meeting me after the 250 main, and we're like trying to find a good spot for 450 main to watch or whatever. And he's like, well, do you just want to go down there? And I'm like, on the floor? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, sure. So I watched the whole 450 main in Oakland that year on the floor. And I was just like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. And then he takes me.
Don't mind if I do.
Oh man, yeah, dude, it was fucking awesome. Although I was recording them coming over because I had my camera because I was vlogging, right? I'm recording them coming over the finish line at one point, and some dude turns around and sees me and just like gives me the cutoff signal. And I'm like, oh, sorry, my bad. But then he takes me into the press conference, and like, I go in there and I'm just standing in the back of the room, just like, whatever, be cool. And of course, all the guys are walking in, and like, I haven't really been around these guys that much. So I'm like, oh shit, there's fucking everybody who just like Webb just won. Like, there he is, you little short fuck. But anyway, and then he's like, oh, hey, I'm going to go do my paperwork, and just like leaves me in there. And I'm like, okay. So, like, I'm the only person in there who's not normal media or related to someone who just finished on the box. So I'm like, well, whatever. I'll just stand in the back quietly. And I just quietly turned my camera on and recorded the audio of the whole thing. It was like, oh, I'm going to go put this out right now at the airport. So, so I did backdoor that a little bit. And the coolest thing was when I left. So I'm in the stadium, right? And no one says anything to you at that point because the stadium's cleared out. So I sat there for about 45 minutes and just watched them tear down the track. And that was the coolest thing ever too, because I'm like, who the hell gets to see this in person? So, so I backdoored it a little bit, and it was awesome. But I wish I could do more of it. So, but I'm with you. We're nowhere close to 10,000 downloads a week. Like, not even in that ballpark.
Well, just a couple away.
Yeah, we aren't either. Luckily I got in at the right time.
Yeah.
And, I'm in now. So, we're working on setting up at Anaheim for next year and a few others.
Sick, man.
January 8th, boys, they just announced it. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
God, I missed that. I missed that announcement. Did they announce the whole schedule, or we just have the Anaheim one's going to be January 8th?
January 8th, Anaheim was all we got right now.
Okay.
No, there's two. I think the 16th or something like that is, I don't know. I saw it yet. There's two races announced, I think. The first two.
Probably Phoenix then, eh? It's almost Phoenix.
Yeah, maybe so. I can't remember. I saw it during the National yesterday. Actually, somebody, hang on, let me look at my group text. I might be able to tell you. One of my group texts for fantasy was that shit. I don't know. There's so many damn texts on here. It's hard to say, but anyway, Anaheim's what I'm worried about. I'm definitely going. I'm ready. So as long as they don't deny me this year. Yeah.
Well, if travel in California gets back to somewhat normal here, and we'll probably try to be there too, because we've been to one of those, man, and they're awesome. So Anaheim one's the spot to be.
I usually try to get in there and do like a 2-week thing where I ride Glen Helen and Paris and all the other places like that while I'm out there for Supercross.
That'd be cool.
I thought
not that much more expensive as long as you got somebody's bike to ride.
You're right. I don't do that anymore. I don't borrow bikes anymore.
Oh shit,
you can
that's
run 'em
David
out there.
Bradshaw's
That's
bike.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not sure. Tom, do you get the
I
reference
learned
on that?
lesson. Yeah.
Tom, do you get the reference on that?
What's that?
The reference
No,
of
I
him.
don't know what you guys are talking about.
Man, he Darkside, tell him the story because it's awesome.
Oh, geez. So I don't even know what year it was. I guess it was 19. The end of 19, I was at a ride day with Damon Bradshaw. And on Sunday, I asked if I could ride. I wanted to ride his bike. He had a brand new YZF 450. Like, literally, he'd gotten it Friday. I took
The
it out.
beast from the east, Damon Bradshaw.
What's that?
The beast from the east, Damon Bradshaw. You rode his bike.
Yes. Well, I didn't only ride his bike. Well, let's back up. So Friday night, we all went out to dinner together, and I beat him in pool, first of all.
Oh shit.
But then, I rode his bike Sunday and had a little bit of a brain fart, lost track where I was, and went over the bars, fractured 4 ribs, punctured lung, and destroyed his bike.
Boop.
Yeah. So there's great audio of it, which I probably have on my phone, but I don't know if you would be able to hear it if I played it. But
There is fantastic
Anyway, so,
audio of that, like him just moaning,
I-
"Oh God, I fucked up Damon Bradshaw's bike."
yeah.
Oh man,
Oh
I was
man.
trying to catch my breath. But anyway, I just don't borrow bikes anymore. I was like right now I don't have a bike. My buddy's got 3. He's like, dude, just ride one of mine. No, I'm good.
Where are you located? Texas.
East Texas, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But
Travis and I are up in Michigan. I'm over by Detroit. He's over by Kalamazoo area. So we're a little ways away from you, but neither of us, none of the 3 of us, by Texas, California at all.
yeah, we need definitely. If you guys make it out, we got to get together and hang out. We're taking a
Sounds like we're gonna have to play some pool, and I'm gonna not let you ride my 450 the next day. That's for sure.
oh man.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If we make it out to California for that, which we're working on, so we'll definitely meet up. We've got a list now, man, because we have also made our rounds.
I'm sure there'll be a live pulp show again. That'd be fun. So yeah.
I don't know if Steve's
I
gonna
want
like
to do a show
me.
at the bar for a Supercross race. I want to have like the whiskey trial guys do that, but I'm saying like at a bar, not your own bar.
Oh
It'd
yeah.
be cool to
Yeah.
have a half a dozen guys sitting doing actual barstool racing. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, we could go
Have to get something planned.
we could go to the live pulp show, man. But Steve is gonna be like, you don't go to the races, so don't talk to me. So I'm out on that. Like,
He's
I don't know.
not that bad, man.
oh man,
He's not that bad. I mean,
dude, we saw him at Redbud. We were walking through the pits, and I looked at my buddy and I was like, should I walk up and just like introduce myself and not say that I'm associated with the show and just see if he says anything?
Yeah.
Oh man, because it's like I like listening to the guy's stuff, man. He's got some takes that I'm a little bit like, we probably shouldn't. Like when he started going off about like not going to the races and talking about them, it's like, okay, maybe tone that back a little bit, bud. But I do enjoy like listening to his stuff. I listen to his stuff, pretty regularly because obviously he's got some scoops, which helps out with what we're doing too of talking about stuff. So makes things nice.
Sure.
So, but okay, boys, let's we only got Darkside for a little bit longer here, and we've bullshitted enough of not racing stuff. Let's talk some Southwick here. Darkside, we already kind of talked about.
Question for you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
My question for Darkside is: he was with us. He didn't know at the time, but he was with us at MX's Nations at Redbud, and that being there, that means he witnessed what we did with the current 41 machine, Hunter Lawrence, destroying everybody. So my question for you, Darkside, is when you see Hunter Lawrence out there today or Southwick this year, the 1-1, do you expect that out of him now, or do you think he's still kind of getting his way back?
I think he's building his way back up. I don't think he's going to – I don't expect him to do it again at Millville, but I expect him to keep getting better, and I think his confidence is growing. He was on my show last Tuesday, actually, which that's why he won. Duh.
God, look at this guy.
He talked about, building that confidence up. He last year he's talked about before, and he talked about on my show that, he thought about giving it up. He was struggling. Things weren't going well. He was having multiple injuries. Found out he had type 2 diabetes, but he is
Oh shit.
learning how to deal with all that and getting his energy back and remotivated. So I think by the end of this season, we're going to start seeing him on the podium more consistently. But I don't expect him to go out and just win again in Millville.
I didn't know that he had type 2 diabetes, and it's kind of interesting that his brother's like shtick thing going right now is all the donuts. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. He talked about their diet being a little different. So yeah, he's figuring that out, and he has to be real. Like he talked about when he when he goes to a race and they go out, they have to call 3 or 4 or 5 different restaurants to find a restaurant that meets his requirements, and
wow,
like that's not easy, right? I mean, that's an added difficulty to what he has to deal with, but he's gotten used to it and he's got it figured out. So I think he's going to be all right. Yeah, we're going to see him get better and better.
You know who that reminds me of is Jimmy Dakotas with his Lyme disease, because I remember him talking about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him talking about going to restaurants and telling the dude, like, literally just put the chicken and the broccoli on the plate, and then they would put stuff on it, and he'd be like, no, I can't eat this, guys. Like, you don't understand. It'll completely fuck me up. So that's interesting, because I remember hearing that that Hunter had changed his diet because his body was eating itself, or however the hell they put it on the broadcast for like one of the Supercrosses or something. But I had not heard that he had the diabetes. That's an interesting development there. So,
That's what you get when you don't listen to my show.
well, sorry, bro. God, there's only so many hours in a day. Okay,
I know.
do you listen to our show? How about that?
Not all, I have, same as you. Like I've listened to a few here and there, but I've bailed on Main Event and a few others because the same thing you say, no time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, shoot, man. So,
Travis and I are both business owners, so it's kind of an interesting thing with listening to podcasts. Sometimes you have tons of customers to deal with, and other times you're ready to go for hours.
Yeah, I worked for a public works department, and like it used to be, I was in my truck. I had my own truck basically, and I was in it by myself almost every day. And I would drive from job to job, and I'd listen to the podcast. But now there's other people going with me, and they don't care about moto, and they don't really want to listen to it. Or I'm not in the truck near as much either. So it's just I've just backed off a lot of my podcast listening.
Yep, that's how it goes. Okay, so we've kind of talked about most of the 250 guys. Is there anything else with 250s, Darkside, that really caught your eye yesterday you want to touch on? And if not, we'll move to 450s here.
Well, I have to assume you talked about RJ making life incredibly hard on himself.
Dude, if that guy could keep that front wheel underneath him, he would be the fastest dude in the 250 class right now and have this title basically locked up.
I agree. And I like yesterday, yesterday, I was almost like, this isn't real. This can't be real. Like, I was like, oh
yeah,
my
you're
God.
watching the broadcast, and Grant Langston, like the very second he stops talking about holding it together, he goes down. It's like, you're jinxing, come on.
Yeah, it was just it's so mind blowing, man. Because he's flying out there, and I kind of needed him to go down for fantasy purposes. And then when he did, I was like, I felt really bad.
Oh man, it's just, and the crazy thing is, it's like the same thing, and it has been in the past too, but now it's just so much more defined here because we watched it happen 3 times last weekend at Redbud. Now we watched it happen 20 times yesterday at Southwick. It's just like he just pushes the front wheel a little bit, and it's like the fact that it's the same thing every time. I mean, it almost has to be a bike setup thing. Like, I know everybody hates talking about setup because that's the excuse everyone uses, but there has to be something just slightly off with that bike setup where it's like causing him, when he pushes in real hard, to push that front end just a little bit. And then he tips over, and then here we are. So
that or
balance the bike, or if you sit up just a little bit more, and little teeny bit cell thing pulls the weight off the front wheel, and then you're plowing the front end. It's just such a small little thing. He's
got to get it figured out though, because really, I mean, the championship is still there. It's possible, but you got he could win so many. He would have won so many more races, I think, already.
Oh yeah,
and it's got to be frustrating him. So maybe we'll see. You know what? It's going to go one of 2 ways. It's either going to get way worse because it's going to be in his head, or he's going to figure it out and it's going to stop.
Yep. So
yeah, that's really all I got on 250s, man. I mean, I'm sure you talked about a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe Shimoda's getting better. Obviously, that's pretty exciting. I like Joe a lot.
Yep. Quietly good is what I said, just like in Supercross, until all of a sudden, boom, he wins, and then you're like, oh shit, Shimoda's here. So, and then
and I'm feeling really bad for Faulkner. I know a lot of people don't like the kid. I know him pretty well. I know his family pretty well, and I know he's just got to be like just fucked in the head because he keeps thinking he's going to figure it out. It's just not happening.
He's still with his chick, right?
As far as I know, I texted her yesterday actually because she usually kind of like I was like, "Hey, is he okay?" Because he was grabbed his wrist.
Yeah,
and she didn't answer this time. And she usually answers right away. So I don't know.
Well, maybe got smart and got rid of her.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a problem there. She's a problem, I feel like. So, I mean, I've never met her.
Yeah.
But
she's awesome.
She's
fun to hang out with.
I mean, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard she's fun, but maybe a little too much fun for a racer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't personally know her or him.
Her like that.
Yeah, so
I didn't hang out with her like that. We hung out. We were at breakfast. Well, I went down to eat with Daniel Blair and Toolman Dan for breakfast one morning, and her and Brady were down there, and I've known Brady forever, so we visited. I mean, I've talked to Riley many times, but she's cool, but I've never partied with her, so I don't know. Yeah.
Like I said, I've heard that's a thing. Of course, I heard, I'm sure you've heard too, that I heard his dad's really pushing to put him on that 450 next year.
Yeah, if anybody is, I think it would be Mike.
So
I do believe he wants Austin on the 450.
Because according to everything I know and have heard, that his deal was pretty inked solid as far as like going to a 450 when Tomac was gone. And I mean, technically Tomac's leaving Cowie next year, so we're there. But man, it was a sketchy move putting it was a sketchy move putting Sexton on a 450 without basically with just the 250 title when they did for outdoors, and I think it's even sketchier putting Faulkner on there. I mean, the kid's too fragile at this point.
I agree. Yeah, I agree that he's.
What are you protecting him from?
Do what?
What are we protecting him from? Let him figure it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's also an opportunity. Hell, maybe that'll fix it. Who knows? Maybe they magically make him better or less crash prone. But he did tell me a month ago. His 450 deal is definitely it's locked in. He did not say like, "Oh, I have to go up when Eli moves" or whatever. He just said, "I do have a 450 deal."
I don't know.
So I could probably find out.
That's a really weird situation there. Like really weird. And like I do feel bad for like I'm super hard on the kid, and everyone who listens to the show normally, like they know that like I'm hard on him, but at the same time it's like I want to see him do good because he's from the area. Like he was from Illinois, and so like I watched him his last year, or maybe it was 2 years of amateurs, because he was at like Redbud National, and then there used to be a race up here. You remember when RCH had the casino sponsor?
Yep.
That casino was actually about 2 hours from me north, and they used to put on a race. It was like a $10,000 pro purse race up there, and then they had like amateur racing and stuff. And man, I remember watching him. It was like his last year amateurs, dude. And he came up and he raced the pro race that Saturday night. And just like, I remember he didn't win, but he spanked, I think it was Hayes all around. And like, that was when Hayes was really tearing up arena cross stuff. And so it was just funny to watch this amateur kid just absolutely spank Jacob Hayes all over the place. Cause I wasn't a Hayes fan back then. And then like I remember watching him do these huge jumps on amateur day there, and like counting to see like how many he actually jumped, which was like 5 or 6 into this roller section. It was wild. It was a huge jump he did. And so so I like him and Sexton, I really watched both of them their last couple of years, because that was when I was really getting back into moto and going to all the races around here, and like I'd see them all the time, and it's like cool to see like those guys go from like, okay, they were at the same race as I was at to now they're pros type deal, you know. But man, it's really frustrating how his career has gone.
I agree. Like I said, I'm friends with his family. Like his mom, I love his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin's always been really cool with me. I know that sometimes he kind of he has what's the word I'm looking for to be nice. He lets his emotions get the better of him at times.
Yes.
But I like the kid. Like I believe deep down he's a good kid, and I love his family. So I want him to do well, and I've always kind of had his back. But this year has been really bad. The last couple of years have not been good with injuries, and man, I am worried his time's running out.
Yeah, until I had started hearing how locked in he was with this 450 ride, I was throwing around like, dude, he's not gonna have a ride next year. Like he's used up all his mulligans here, and especially after Supercross when he broke his collarbone
on the show before.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it a lot. It's like, man, he's at the end of his rope as far as I'm concerned, because it's just like, dude, you can't stay healthy, and now the crazy thing is like you come back and you've been off since February, and you're not ready to go for outdoors, or like you're struggling through this. Like what's going on? And obviously they don't come out and tell us anything, so all we can do is sit here and speculate. And I'm gonna speculate like, dude, you're just not ready. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, you're right. It seems that way.
I mean, did you hear anything? I heard at Thunder Valley, like between motos, like he basically told Mitch, like, I don't have it or something.
That would not surprise me. He was very disappointed and didn't know what was going on at Thunder Valley. He talked about that. That was one of his worst rides. He's like, I just don't know what is going on. I don't know if you remember, Mathis was talking about the fact that he said, either Austin said or somebody said that Austin was going to get some blood work done that following like Monday.
Yes.
He just didn't know what's going on. And I asked him about that, and he said, yeah, he did go. That was true. And everything came back normal. So he still just doesn't really know what the F's going on. Hell, maybe he has Epstein-Barr, but I guess I got to figure that out. But, I don't have an answer, and I don't guess he does either, and he's frustrated. But he's had a couple decent motos here and there. Like, you've seen him come from the back, have some good lap times, right? He's been really maybe not as fast as the top two, but he's not been super far off. He's just getting terrible starts.
Yeah.
But then, like, this weekend, he just didn't make up any time anywhere.
This weekend was strange in the 250 class. There were a lot of dudes that didn't ride well in the sand. Like a lot of dudes. Yeah, true. Like Justin Cooper did not ride well. Jet Lawrence did not ride well.
Second moto.
Dude, it doesn't matter. That second moto wasn't that impressive. The fact they had to blow his wad in the first moto and then had nothing for the second moto, like... I don't know. It was an interesting race. And to be really honest, I don't know what you guys thought. That first 250 moto, watching it on TV, and I know we're not there, so whatever. But
man, great race.
I didn't think that it looked like they were going as fast as I thought guys looked like they were going in the past at races at Southwick. Like, it just looked slower.
The track is whooped out deeper, so you're jumping between them, so it looks like they're, I'm not saying that they weren't going faster, that they go faster, but it looks more taxing, like they're splashing through the track when it gets whooped out like that.
All right, well, that could be a thing.
Yeah, maybe. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying. Yeah, that could be a thing. I don't know. Like, did you think it looked the same way there, Darkside? That it looked slower in that first one?
I 100% agree. I thought it looked slower until the second 450 moto when Eli and Dylan were just fucking insane. And then I was like, oh, okay. This reminds me of like what I saw the last few years. Not last year, but the 2 years before. Yeah, it was definitely. It seemed strange the first couple motos for sure.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad I wasn't way out in left field there because I thought I might be. I'm like, maybe I'm seeing things, but to me, it just does not look. Like, I remember, like, that year McElrath crashed in that one corner there at the end of that second moto. I remember thinking, man, those dudes are just flying into that corner. And then this year I was just like, are these dudes moving? Like, I'm confused. Are they just bogged out in the sand? Yeah. I don't get it. So, all right, let's move to 450s here. Darkside, you're the newest guest here. Where you want to start with 450s? You want to talk about the Dylan Danger Zone?
We could go. Yeah, let's go, Dylan. Man, how fucking good is he right now? God, I love it.
I mean, does he? There's
Are
no
you guys-
way he loses this title, right?
Unless he gets injured. But are you guys Dylan fans?
Yeah,
or
there
are
you go.
Dylan?
I'm not a huge.
I like them all, but I think that he's really earning it right now. I tell you what, going out there and doing what he's doing as a rookie, what we consider a rookie, it's not out of his character to go out and survive the rest of the season without injury. But man, right now he's really earning it big time.
Yeah, I met him, I think, in 19. Yeah, 19, him and his wife. And they were so nice. And, like, I am definitely not a prejudiced person. So when he got all the booing, even when he rode, did something stupid, I hated it, man. And I like that guy so much. And he has so much passion for the sport and for racing. He is all in. And I'm so glad that, like, the fans are starting to come around and be supportive. And he's more vocal now with the fans and talking and doing more podcasts and stuff because he's more comfortable with the language now. Like, he would not do a podcast like 2 years ago. He didn't hardly want to do interviews at the races. He was very insecure about it. Now it's all coming around, and I'm so happy for the guy. I love it.
He is absolutely on fire. I mean, I'm not a huge Dylan fan, but he is massively impressive this year. Like, I did not expect this with him coming outdoors. We saw Supercross. He had some good rides. His starts are shit 99% of the time. Obviously, this weekend was the enigma, but whatever. But his starts were shit in Supercross, and like we saw him come from the back, and it was kind of like some underappreciated rides because you didn't really see him a lot until he got into like the top 5. But man, dude, this outdoor season, I'm just I cannot believe what we're seeing out of him. It's wild to me, and I like Kenny a lot, but I don't see Kenny being able to beat him because I just don't think Kenny has that raw speed anymore to beat Dylan at this point.
Yeah, I think the only person that's going to be Dylan is Dylan. If he makes a mistake or gets hurt, that's probably about the only thing that's going to happen.
Yeah,
to change it.
And making a mistake is that bike is going to have to be bent where he can't ride it, or like you said, he's going to have to get hurt. Outside of that, we've watched him. He comes from the fucking back, and he just rides through everyone, including Eli Tomac and Ken Roxon. It's wild.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the racing this year. The Supercross outdoors, it's so good.
Yeah, it has been. It has been really, really good. Are you surprised by how
he's dangerous too? The 14 machine, he's a dangerous shark out there. Even if he gets a 6th place start, which I think he did in one of the motos, and then come up through the pack. Like, there's a lot of guys, for example, Joe Shimoda, that didn't pack a single guy but went in 2-2. So that's really saying something about the 14 machine. They're going through and chewing through guys that have won races within this year and like all of the races. All the races in the 450 class. There's 8 or 9 different guys on the line that have won a moto recently.
Yeah, I actually asked him about that 2 weeks ago on the show. I said, your starts have gotten a little better than they were in Supercross, and I asked him what he's changed, or he said what he's done to get better, and he really said nothing. It's just had a few better starts. Just he doesn't really know, but he said I don't really care about the starts anymore. If I get a bad start, then I just got to go through everybody. And that's just his mindset. I'm going to do it, But he also says, he told me, and then he told Mathis last week on Pulp when he was on there, that he's surprised. So like he's being humble, but he's not worrying about the starts. If I get a bad start, I'm just going to go as fast as I can and do it. So like he's very confident, but he's also humble.
He was going to win that second moto if he doesn't have steam rolling out of his bike and being told not to stay off the clutch, right?
Yeah, he said that actually in the press conference because I think Nick or Trent from Moto Limited asked him about it, and they said, did you see? Somebody asked him anyway. Did you see the pit boards? And he's like, yeah, they were yelling at me to be easy on the bike, but he said I didn't want to, so I was still pushing, and then he kind of said, all right, he started to back it down, and he thinks he would have won if he could have went full bore.
Yep. That was
a
little bit of a letdown.
He said he could have got Kenny.
Okay.
He said he could have got Kenny. I'm sorry, not win. He said he could have got Kenny if he could have went as hard as he wanted.
Yeah, he probably
Roxon was leading for a lot of the second model today.
Yeah. Roxon looked pretty good, man. He just
Roxon had
I don't
surprise of the season in 450s, in my opinion.
Oh, me too. I said when on our show for our 450 preview or whatever, I was like 2 races and he's done.
Well, see, you gave him a lot more credit than us.
Wrong.
We thought he was done before the season started, but whatever, it's fine.
Oh, yeah. I thought he'd try twice and not do very well, but I was completely wrong. So, yeah, good credit to him, man. He's doing better than I thought. Excuse me.
He is, man. And to be really honest, through those first 4 motos, like I was like, holy shit, he could win this title. Like he could pull off this outdoor title.
Right.
And then of course
Right.
we've seen what Dylan has done, and we're all like, well, never mind. But we were saying actually before we got you on too how weird it is, because like I think I was just going back pulling some numbers for some stuff, and like I'm looking at the Redbud race video, and I think it was like 19, and it's like Redbud was race 7 in 2019, and now we just had Redbud, and it was race 4. So I feel like we're way later in the title already than what we actually are. Like Redbud was race 4. We're a third of the way through. So we still have 8 races to go, which is fucking wild in my opinion, that we still have this many races to go, because I feel like we've just been going forever at this point. But
right, yeah.
So like there's definitely room for Kenny to make it back up, and we've got some good track. I mean, let's face it, Millville, he is no slouch at Millville. We saw what he did in 2016.
True. Yeah. And of course, Dylan won the R250 last year. So
Yep. So we could have a good battle.
there.
That's interesting.
And then if you have
I
those,
didn't realize that Dylan had one last year. That's going to be there's a lot of guys that come out and win both classes this coming week.
yeah, Millville's just awesome anyway. So yeah, and Barsha looked better too. So
oh boy,
hopefully he's figuring things out. Maybe he'll get up in the mix.
oh boy, we're gonna talk. We can talk. I have him on my list here. Barsha is, and me and my other co-host Justin have argued about this. Barsha is the same Barsha we have seen. He's just on a different bike. He is the same. There is no. It was all he's gonna get on this gas, and it's a new guy and everything. No, it's not. This is the same Barsha we've seen. There's some flashes in the pan. He comes out, he like wins the opener, or the first 2, whatever you want to call it, depending upon if you count his video or not, whatever. And then like now it's been, as we've progressed through the season, same Barsha we've seen. It's not a whole lot better.
Yes.
It might be a little bit better. Maybe that's like Steel Frame Gang or something like that's helping him a little bit, but dude, he's not out there dominating. He's not out there winning races hand over fist. In fact, I would say the outdoors has gone worse.
Now, wait a minute.
Oh, boy, here we go.
He took second place this week. He took second place in the first moto.
Yeah, and? How is that different from what he's done in the last 3 years outdoors?
Well, I'm just saying he took second in the first moto, and not by very far either. He's not out of this by any means.
He was a lot better at Southwick than he's been at the other races, and I don't know. I asked him in the press conference about the bike, and just like I said, look, it's a new team for you, new bike. Are you still trying to figure things out? Is it still something that you're adjusting to? And he said, oh yeah, I'm still learning this bike. It's totally different than what I was riding. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a mulligan right now, but we'll see if he can continue to get better and maybe, over the next few races, stay up there in the podium area. And then next year's, I think, is the test for that, or it, like you said, does he stay the same guy? Well, hey, how about him? Did you guys see him take AC wide?
Oh,
when
yeah.
AC had dropped anchor?
Oh, yeah.
So did you hear his response in the press conference when I asked him about that?
No. I haven't listened to the press conferences yet.
It was fucking fantastic. So somebody had asked him a question early in the press conference about his start, because he got kind of a bad start or something. And he said, well, I don't remember his exact words, but another rider came out of nowhere, and I got blasted by another guy or something. He said, I'm not going to name names, but I got hit by somebody else. So a little bit later, I'm like, hey, man, so you passed AC in the second moto. He had clearly dropped anchor with some arm pump or something. Why'd you take him so wide? He said, do you think maybe that was the guy that I mentioned earlier that I didn't want to name? I said, oh, okay. So apparently he said what I did to AC was minimal compared to what I should have done or what I would have done before. Something along those lines. I was like, nice.
Jesus.
Great answer.
Oh my God. That's a Barsha answer.
Yeah, it was fantastic, dude. I was so glad I asked because like the whole press conference was laughing and it was just a great response.
Dude, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was good. But, so if anybody else was wondering why, that's why.
Okay, well that makes sense. How about that Kenny AC battle there? I don't remember first, second. Oh, first moto, yeah. Where like Kenny about took AC's front wheel out. I was like, oh my God.
Great pass.
Yeah.
Squaring him up like that was awesome.
I had planned on asking Kenny about that as my second question or in the press conference, but Weeds let him go early because he had gotten on early and I didn't get a chance to ask it. I was like next up and I missed it, but yeah, that was I'm sure that was incidental from those guys, but it was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, well, it's like they said in the broadcast. If you kind of watch it, like AC, it almost looks like he went to square back down underneath Kenny, and like Kenny was just there. So yeah, I'm sure it wasn't anything, vicious or whatever, but man, it was wild to watch. It was a good battle there for a couple of corners. So
I was actually
all the way through the top 10 of things. Great racing.
Yeah, I was actually looking at my laptop, trying to figure out what my fantasy score was because AMA timing was down, and my buddy he yelled. He's like, "Oh my God!" and Weeds yelled or whatever, and I looked up and I missed it, but thankfully they replayed it.
Oh man, yeah, that was
cool.
That was good. Okay, let's see. Webb had a little bit of a better day. They appear to be making some moves on that bike apparently, or he's doing something different. Because 6.5. I guess that's better. It's not like eight to 10.
Definitely better than what he's been doing, man. But yeah, I'm so disappointed in him right now.
Okay, we got a question for you. We were talking about this before you got on. Who's your Des Nations team right now for us?
I was just thinking about that.
Ooh, so obviously Kawasaki's out, Star's out.
Star is out too?
Well, yeah, because they're making the move to Florida in that time frame, so they're not going to be.
Yep. Shit, the pack just got thinner, Tom.
Yeah, so like I'll go Roxon, Dylan Ferrandis. Yeah.
Let's get some passports going here, some pieces.
Maybe RJ and jeez.
Super Webb, RJ. Yeah, we got a couple of guys left.
Well, it's probably going to end up being Barsha, RJ, and man, I don't even know that. Yeah, maybe Cooper.
I say it's got to be either Webb or Sexton at this point.
Yes, Sexton's a possibility too.
Because they're about the only two not changing teams, pretty much, who's available that's worth a shit. So, because everybody else, you figure,
there's rumors that Webb's trying to change to go to Yamaha, but I don't think that's true.
I've heard that too, but man, I have a hard time. But I'm going to do some digging. I'm going to put some feelers out. I got a couple people in California right now that can dig around for me, so I'm gonna do that and see if I can find anything out this week. But man, I'm with you. I've heard that, but I don't think that's gonna be a thing. I've heard.
I've heard that he doesn't want to do Alden's program anymore, and that's the catalyst for that. But no, I don't think he's going to Yamaha. So
well, let me just spin you a couple tales of some rumor mills I've heard out here about about the Alden program.
Okay.
So I have heard that the Baker's factory is being sold. One of the rumors I've heard is that Zach Osborne bought it, and the other rumor I've heard is that someone bought it, but they didn't give specifics. I have heard that Webb. I actually heard that Webb was retiring after next year's Supercross season. And I have heard that when Webb retires, Alden's also retiring. And so, so that's, I don't know if any of that is true or if none of that is true or if it's all true. But yeah,
Right.
there's some interesting things. I've also heard that none of the bakers, like actual Alden's guys, are riding at the baker's factory right now, and they haven't been for months.
Man, I find that hard to believe because that's Alden kind of almost demands it to a degree. And the Zach thing, I don't believe that for a second, man. As cheap as Zach is and Brittany are, they ain't spending that kind of money. No way.
Yeah, but wasn't Zach? So Zach was part owner of what, like Club or something in the beginning, wasn't he?
I don't think so. I'd have to ask him. I haven't heard. But Zach is as cheap as they come, and Brittany doesn't like spending money on anything.
Well, I believe that, but don't you? I mean, let's face it. We don't know if Zach's coming back. Like, we don't know what that back's going to do or anything like that. So what do you think he's planning for post-racing career at this point? That was the only way it made sense in my head, was like, okay, he's sizing it up. Alden's getting out of the game. He is almost done with his racing career. So if he buys this immaculate facility that they have down there and just kind of steps in and says, okay, cool, now I'm going to be the trainer and, keep this open and keep people training here and maybe train pro guys. I don't know. But that was how it made sense in my head. Yeah, as far as just buying it just to have it or whatever, no, that doesn't seem like a thing. But buying it to kind of continue training and using it as an actual training facility, I could totally see Zach doing that, especially, like I said, I'm 99% sure. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm 99% sure that he was part owner of, like, Club when that first opened.
That's possible. I don't know that, but yeah, I'm texting Zach right now. I'm asking him.
So I'm on this rinky-dink podcast, and they're telling me all this crazy shit. What do you got for me?
Yeah, we'll see what he responds.
So he's probably gonna say I'm a fucking idiot and never ever want to talk to me. So which is fine.
I didn't give my source away because if it's that way, he won't laugh at you.
Yeah, that's all right. It's fine. He wouldn't be the first person to be upset at me. I'm sure there's more out there.
How bad would it be if he texts me back and says, "Yeah, I just bought it"?
that would be awesome. Actually, that would be really awesome. The source I'm hearing this from is pretty good. Has a bunch of connections. So I don't know for sure, but he has the connections to be able to know something like that's going on. So.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. Well,
we're gonna find out today.
I'm watching the moto right now, the second moto of 450s. There's like 3 minutes or 4 minutes left, and Marsha and Cooper Weber battling. What a great battle! All the way deep in this moto.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very, very impressive race this weekend for sure.
Well, Webb wanted to get that top 5, man. He's trying to work his way back in there. Is anybody else underwhelmed by Sexton this year?
Yeah.
Like we kind of thought we were going to get more out of him, and then we just haven't, as far as outdoors goes.
Yep.
For me, it's difficult because when it's a new guy, what do you set your expectations as, right? So for me, I don't know what to expect from him, although he's on a 16 with a 6 like and a teammate like Ken. How much do you expect of a rookie, right? So if he's out there learning, are you expecting him to go out there and have some issues and have some flashes of brilliance, or are you thinking he's going to be like Jonas Ferrandis and go out there and be the guy to beat?
I mean, honestly, I could have seen him.
He'd be a top.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I thought he'd be top 4 or 5 guy pretty regularly, podium guy often. Mm-hmm. Honestly, my expectations were way higher than they should have been, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the speed he showed in Supercross, and then how he looked last year outdoors, and I know last year outdoors was a weird thing, but yeah, I'm with you. I definitely saw him in the top 5 and on the box way more than what we've seen at this point. So,
right. So Zacho said, "Haha, I've tried, but he says no every time."
Huh. Well, they say rumors always start with a kernel of truth, so I guess we weren't super far off. Hasn't been bought yet. Hasn't been bought yet, but hey, cool. At least we know that he's been trying. So, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Thanks for howling, Darkside. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's so maybe there is some truth there. I guess, who knows?
Yeah, well, dude, nobody knows anything in this industry because nobody wants to ever fucking talk about anything because everything's gonna be a secret. Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, what does Eli Tomac do up in the woods all the time? I mean, come on. What is that guy doing up there? You know, he's just training in the mountains with no one else around him. Like, come on. What's going on? Is this like fucking, what's it called? Like Drago? Like, do they have a lab up there and they're just stuffing him full of shit like all the time? Like, what's happening? Let's start a rumor about that.
Nice Rocky IV reference.
You're welcome. You are absolutely welcome on that one. All right. So,
he's not the man. He's a machine.
If he dies, he dies. AC is just, I want him to do so good, and yet we cannot get that out of him, and it just sucks. And I know right now it's like the arm thing with him, the nerve or whatever, but I want more out of AC. I want to see him win.
Oh, me too. I think the whole industry.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets one or more win this season.
I would. He's got major issues with his nerve in his arm, like major issues. Like it goes numb. He gets badass arm pump. Like he's got issues. That's why I told you, Tom. He's going under the knife as soon as the season's done too, because he had that surgery on his arm to relieve this or whatever, and then apparently he's like one person out of 100 that it doesn't work on, and so now he's got to go in and have that nerve actually like moved off his elbow or something. So
yeah,
well, that may be true, but even this weekend when I watched him, he didn't have a great second moto. He got sixth or so, but he still rides with the speed that he needs. He could go out there, and if he has the endurance, so to say, with the elbow issue, he still can go out there and haul ass when he needs to.
Yeah, I think he's just struggling. Like, you know, the arm, he's been having arm pump in the first motos, but then this weekend it seemed like the second. But like in my mind, I say it's just go get the surgery now. Then, you know, get healed up and get ready for Supercross, because the outdoor season's over for him.
Yeah,
as far as championship, hunt.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's a bummer. He's such a good kid.
And now you've got Tomac is back on it somewhat. I mean, he's a second moto guy, I guess we'll call him now. Is that fair? Is that where?
Yeah. That was all talked about at the press conference too. He can't figure it out. He has no idea.
He never has any idea. How many years have people been asking him about, you know, why did you crash here? What happened here? And he's like, I don't know. He just throws his arms up and goes, I don't know. So it's like one of three things. He's either stupid, okay, which could be. We don't know because he's in the mountains doing shit that none of us know about. He legitimately doesn't know, which that's even weirder. Or he does know and he's just trying to play us all. I mean, that could be a thing. Like, I don't know. In reality, he knows exactly what's wrong. So that's such a weird thing. He needs...
Shit happens in a hurry, man. This stuff at that level, it's hard to split hairs.
He swears, you know, in the press conference last night, I asked him about that because I was like, hey, well, there's a lot we talk about on all these shows. We all have theories. You know, look, you just had your second kid, or you're having your second kid. You got married. You're changing teams. I said, do you think any of that has an effect on the way things are going right now? And he said, if it does, I'm not aware of it. He said, I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to do well. He said, nothing has changed for me in my program. The fact that he said, I still do my program exactly the same, but when I go home, my kids are there now. That's all. But other than that, nothing has changed. I haven't been able to figure out what's going on. I cannot lock it down. Those were basically his words last night. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's lying, right? But I felt like he was being honest because he seemed so frustrated.
I mean, maybe they just give him his factory parts back for the second motos. Like, maybe that's the thing.
So, hey, I asked that question in the press conference too. Did you guys hear that a couple weeks ago?
No.
The first time yeah. So what was that? Was it High Point I think High Point. I said, okay, this question may fall flat if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I said, but did Kawasaki give you your works parts back? And he just started laughing. And I still don't know that he understood why I asked that, but he also that night said, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I asked him that at the press conference too.
So here's the thing. Everybody, so especially like on Pulp there, they jumped down Hopper's throat for that. And we're actually having Hopper on, what is he coming on? Unadilla show or something? I don't know. He was on a couple weeks ago with us. We cold called him. And then he's coming on after Dilla. Okay. Everybody like jumped down his throat there about like, he's fucking stupid. Like, that's not a real thing. We have some friends in the industry, and we have some kids we know that used to be on factory teams, Star Yamaha. That is legitimately a thing. Like, everyone wants to say it's not. They're either, again, they're all stupid, or they're just trying to BS everyone who isn't in the industry, because we know it happens. We have people that we are very close with that say like, yeah, that's a thing. Like, they will take different parts away from different people if they're not coming back or they're not getting re-signed or whatever. So where Hopper said that, and like, if you actually listened to and watched his full video in Darkside, I don't know if you did or not, he was more or less joking about it in the video. Like, it wasn't like a super serious thing. He was just kind of throwing it out there. But it's a legitimate thing. And I know now I'm going to get fucking fried here because people are going to be like, well, you're fucking stupid. Well, look, dude, I've talked to people. I know people who this is a fucking thing. Like, it's legitimate. Like, let's ask the Martin brothers about their last year on Star before they left. Like, I'm sure we could get some
Sounds like crazy talk to me, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, you know, it's all crazy. I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you.
I certainly don't know. I only know what I hear from the people that I know that work in the industry, like Mathis or other guys that, you know, I mean, I'm friends with Crans. I'm friends with Eli's mechanic.
Yeah.
And they swear no, but obviously they got to protect their job. So maybe you're right. I have no way of knowing. It seems ludicrous, but doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, and again, it may not happen all the time. I'm not saying that they're doing that with Eli, okay? There's different levels. Like, the kids that we know that have seen this and had this happen and shit like that, like, they're not Eli Tomac, okay? They're not 450 Supercross champ, 3-time outdoor champ. Like, they're not that, okay? But to say that it doesn't happen at all, like, okay, let's unbury our heads out of the sand here a little bit. There's some things. I mean, again, I listen to Pulpamex all the time, and I listen to JT and them tell me that they have no idea about the Blake Baggett situation, and I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. I know you can't talk about it, but I know you do, so why don't you just say, I can't talk about it, and let's just move on, all right? So
Yeah.
Because I know enough people around that I knew about that as much as they did, so... and it's like, I'm a nobody. So if I know what's going on and like have heard it directly from the horse's mouth, basically, then I know you guys do too. So whatever. Right. But that's also another interesting situation, and I don't want to get you in trouble. So we'll just move on from this. Anything else you want to touch on before we let you go? Because I know you said you had about an hour, and we've been about that time frame. So.
I'm kind of scanning through my notes. Nothing stands out right now, man. It's just really exciting that we're in an era where we don't have one or two guys that are just dominating. I mean, we kind of do in a way, but everybody seems like the racing seems so much better these last couple of years. Mm-hmm. It's hard to not be excited that Millville's coming up this weekend, you know, and that there's races. Like, I don't go, fuck, I just know, you know, Ryan Gonzalez is going to win anyway, or Ryan Dungy's going to win anyway. It's like, well, anything can happen almost at this point.
Yep, 100%.
I just said that, and he asked me who my pick is. Dylan Ferrandis and Jet.
Nice.
Good picks.
I'm taking Jeremy Martin.
Oh, good. Yeah, J. Martin. All right, well, I'm going to go A-Mart then.
Oh, yeah, Amart's coming back. He is. He's supposed to be back from Millville.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, honestly, though, I'm going to have to go with Jet and Dylan.
Yeah, so, I mean,
AP, dude. How about AP may be mad after the DNF, so maybe AP.
Maybe. He is. I mean, he's been saying like these wins are eluding me, and we're gonna get one here soon.
Yep.
You know, or however he talks.
I'm gonna go with Dylan. I'm sticking with Dylan until he proves me wrong.
Yeah, those are good, solid picks. I can't really argue. Although I could say Kenny for Millville because let's face it, we've seen Kenny ride Millville, and it's. I mean, what was that in 16? Did he go from 30 something to like 5th place in one lap? Like it was ridiculous.
Dude, that was a long time ago.
Oh man,
that was a long time ago, man.
Well, yeah, but that was the year he went 20 for 24, man.
Yeah. Zacho just said because I had texted him about the rumor. I said, "Well, now I think there's more to it," is what I said. He goes, "No, there isn't more to it, boss. I'd tell you if there was. He just renewed his deal with KTM." So
interesting.
There it is.
Super interesting.
So,
all right. Well,
there you go, man.
Hey, I can't be right about everything all the time, okay? But these factory parts getting taken off bikes, all right?
Hey.
We could go.
I was wrong once. I thought I was wrong, but I ended up being right. That was when I was wrong. Does that make sense? It's a bad joke. It's a bad joke.
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right. Well, hey, man, thanks for putting that out there and getting some of that info for us there. So I appreciate that. It's good to know. It's good to know. So, all right. Thanks for coming on, man. Tell them when you air your Motox Pod Show so that they can come find you and listen to you and hear your lovely voice.
We usually do a show every Tuesday night. It's usually live on YouTube. Right now, I'm in between homes. I am building or painting a room that's going to be the studio. We should be back live on Tuesday nights, probably in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah, Tuesday nights, but it's in iTunes and Stitcher and pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. Motox Pod Show. Hit us up on Instagram, all that stuff, and check out the Pulp Mix wrap-up show if you guys don't have time to listen to the whole Pulp show.
All right. Cool. Sounds good, man.
That's it.
Well, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it, man. We'll have to, like you said, we'll have to get together if we all make it out for A1 and stuff like that, and we'll do some big. I'm gonna bring all the stuff. We're gonna do a big collab show, and I'm gonna get a big ass hotel room. We'll do a big ass collab show after the race or something. So
I'll have to bring in some hired guns for that one.
Let's do it.
We'll get Steve in there. I mean, we'll make it a big thing. It'll be awesome.
We'll have to kidnap him.
Yeah, that's fine. I know he doesn't like hanging out with people. So, but hey, I'm sure Weege will come because Weege will go anywhere. So,
pretty much. Hey, yeah, if you buy him dinner, he'll probably come.
I'll give him $5 and a high five, and I'm sure he's in. So,
right. I like it.
All right, man.
He's in.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good luck with your house situation there, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. Great talking to you guys, and enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
All right.
See you guys.
Yep. Take it easy, bud.
Bye.
Well, that was Darkside, everybody.
Interesting guy.
Dude, nice guy. Would you believe if I told you he's got a ponytail that touches his butt crack?
Well, I guess I wouldn't say I'm too surprised, but I wouldn't guess. I've never, prior to this, I didn't really know much about him, so it was nice to hear what he had to say.
Yeah, he, I don't know. Actually, I think he just cut off a bunch of his ponytail and donated it. But it was at one point here in the not too distant past, like down to his butt crack, from what I understand. It was super long. They talk about it all the time, how long and luscious it is. But anyway, no, nice guy. Glad we got him on. Had some good takes there. So and hit up Zach, asking Zach about the about the baker's factory there. So we took a rumor.
That was real interesting.
We took a rumor, we put it out there to the source, and we got some info on it. So interesting. All right, Tom. Anything else you wanna talk about here with 450s? I was kind of scrolling through. I mean, Chiz was back. Chiz went 19-21 for 22nd overall.
That's good to see him back. You don't know how many more you got at his point in the career, at least outdoors.
Yeah.
So to be at a track and get a point, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, man, there was nothing else really. Marv had a kind of day. Dino raced again, which was wild that he's racing with Epstein-Barr, and he didn't die last week. AP had that. We didn't really touch on AP having that mechanical, I guess. That was kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
I don't know. He said in the interview there on the track that when they hit him up during the race that he felt like something let go in the motor coming around that second turn. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That was a weird situation, and we'll never know what it actually was. But yeah. Interesting. Then of course people throw out those wild rumors, which are hilarious, of like, oh well, Star couldn't afford to pay any more bonus money, so they had to sabotage him.
Oh, geez.
Oh God, I know.
He's like the Macho Man Randy Savage of the motocross industry, and he's been real good for the fans. They've been going crazy for him.
Oh, dude,
and they should too. He's been lighting it up.
From what I've heard, the thing he puts out there with the with the being redneck and hillbilly type deal is not an act. He's just making it even more than what it actually is with him. If you know what I'm saying. Like,
with it a little bit.
he's like a 50% at that, but he's taking it to 100% to just kind of play it up for everyone. And I mean, dude, it's working. Everybody fucking loves that guy at this point.
Yeah, he's lighting it up too.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely destroying it.
Yeah, he's getting the finishes to back it up. I'm super interested to see what happens with him next year. Is he going to stay with Star? Is he going to go to KTM? I don't know. So it should be wild for the off season. So, oh shit. All right, man. Who you got for race winners for Spring Creek here, Millville, this weekend?
I think that RJ is going to be the guy for 250s, and I think maybe at least for one moto.
Okay.
I don't think Jeremy Martin's going to win. I think he's too maimed up, but I think he's going to be solid. I think 450s. I got a feeling about Ken Roxon right now. I think that he's going to come out and be pissed off. Really, for me, it's who's going to be pissed off this time, and there's a handful of guys that have reason to be. Not Mark right now, but he's another guy that's pissed off. In some of the races, he's been looking for lackluster. There's a handful of guys such as him that I'm expecting to come out and kick some ass.
Yeah, I gotta go with in the 250s. I'm gonna go with Darkside. I'm gonna go with Jet. I think Jet's gonna want to have a comeback weekend here, so I'm gonna go Jet 250s, and in the 450s, I'm gonna go with you, and I'm gonna go with Kenny, just because, like I said, that 2016, and if y'all haven't seen it, go back on YouTube and look up 2016 Millville National when Kenny was on HRC. Or I'm sorry, not HRC, on RCH. Jesus Christ.
RCH.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, I think it was the second moto. He got a shit ass start, and I don't even know if he went down. He might even went down, and he passed 30 dudes in the first lap. Like, it's fucking incredible. Yeah. And he was so fast that day there. He went 1-1 both motos, and just absolutely fucking incredible. So make sure to go look that up. So I'm going to go Ken Roxon this weekend, and then I'm going to go with Jet in the 250 class to win that. So,
or is Jet ever pissed off? He's got that pissed off factor going right now.
Jet
comes off the track and he's like emotional, and it's like, yes, it's exactly what you need.
Yep, Jet's not happy with how his sand riding went, and to be honest, that was very subpar in my mind for him too. Like, I thought for sure with coming from Europe, he was going to be better at sand than what he showed yesterday, and who knows what the hell was going on. I haven't dove into all the wrap-ups and race reviews and everything to really hear what he had to say, but anyway.
It seems to be they're having issues with the setup on those red bikes lately.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was thinking about that during the race. I was thinking to myself that how much do you really try to search to find the bike that you're about to change to the new model shortly?
Yeah.
Usually in the next month or so, when the new models come out, that's when they start with the racing most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's in the step down, but it's a whole new bike.
Yeah, but you got to think too. Jet's right in this title chase, so they're probably sticking with trying to keep this bike for right now, right? Wouldn't you think, for the rest of the season?
Well, that's the interesting part is that I would figure they would go with whatever one is a better bike, but if you don't know and then you go to a race and it sucks, that might cost you your whole fucking championship.
Yeah, well, so with the 22s though, with the way that the supply chain's fucked up, do you think they're going to have enough here to be homologated before the end of the season?
Well, I'm not sure, and I'm actually interested quite a bit in when those bikes come out because I'd like to get one myself.
All right, you get one of those because I want to ride it. Because I almost bought a Honda, and then I was like, man, those things are so slow. And then I ended up with a Blue Crew, so whatever. All right, cool, man. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up here. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Another good one here. Darkside, Tom, thank you both for being on here. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Make sure to check out our sponsors. Once again, presenting sponsors, BC.Pizza, TLR Coatings, Premier Custom Trailers. Also, make sure to check out JT Cycle and the Dirt Bike Depot there for helping us out with everything. Links in the description below. Merchandise, links in the description below. Links to Patreon in the description below, which we're going to start stepping our game up on that here relatively soon. We will be back with Fantasy Show, like I said, Thursday or Friday here this week, and we will be back next weekend to wrap up Millville. And as of right now on the docket, we have the one, the only Toolman Dan from Main Event Moto coming up next week. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate it, and we will see you next week.